Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for another edition of Let's Argue.
No!
We're actually not doing an episode of Let's Argue because, look. So for each episode of Let's Argue, what we typically do is we go through hundreds, and I mean hundreds of different takes and responses on social media, and we do our best to, pick out the most thoughtful and engaging ones and base whatever we do around that. But a fair amount of what you guys send us is bad, and I thought it would be fun to maybe just go over the ones that are not so good. In this video.
Your takes are terrible!
Most rap is monotonous and repetitive shit made for people who don't have the depth to understand how actual music is put together. Be careful with this take, buddy. It's a really fucking old one from 1994. You're not telling it like it is by coming out here and saying, rap is crap and it's not real music and it repeats like other fucking music doesn't repeat. Being independent in the music industry doesn't really mean anything if you end up being really popular and in the mainstream so much that the label becomes meaningless in the end.
What?
What are you saying? I mean, it does kind of matter though, because the label is sort of the middleman between a lot of artists and their money, and if you become hypothetically as big and as famous as Cardi B completely independently, that does kind of matter. That's going to matter a lot to your bottom line. XXXTentacion / Juice WRLD, etc. are just Zoomer versions of early 2000s emo. They're literally influenced by them. It is not a hot take or perceptive to be like, these guys kind of sound like these guys they're influenced by. Look. Guys, 95% of the time, if your take is following the blank is the blank of blank template, it's probably bad, it's getting a skip, it's not a hot take. Floyd's Animals is so underrated solely because it didn't have any songs short enough to be radio hits besides being their most compositionally genius work. It's not underrated. No one is discounting the artistic substance of Pink Floyd's Animals. Like, sure, you're not gonna have, like, the radio playing sheep or dogs or anything just because, but it's a very beloved record, not underrated. Albums don't need to be revolutionary or we haven't heard this one before. Everyone understands the concept that good music is good, and good music does not need to be groundbreaking music for it to be good. Good and groundbreaking are not the same thing, though one can certainly enhance the other or add to the other. Good, groundbreaking, different things. That's why they're different terms to begin with, we know. People, mainly music critics, unnecessarily hate pop music. I don't get what's wrong with a song that is topping the charts and why y'all have to hate it so much. There's a fair amount of poptimism going around in most media publications these days. And I mean, I don't know, it's rare that I catch a review or a blurb about a song hating on it merely because it's popular. These days, it's not looked very well upon in a lot of music writer circles to just like hate on shit when it's relevant. And look, that's not to say that popular music is beyond critique. It's not. I mean, critique away, but it's rare that I just see like blind hatred toward things because people in mass enjoy them. Look no further than the fact that Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion with WAP just ended up on so many year-end lists across the board on numerous music sites. I mean, if there was really that much hatred toward popular music and songs because they're popular, nobody would have given WAP the time of day. Villains by Queens of the Stone Age has aged amazingly and is a top 3 album by them for sure. It's aged amazing? It's just a few years old. Pablo Honey is as good as OK Computer, and the King of Limbs is better than either. You're just being a contrarian at this point. Elvis is and was not the king of rock and roll. There were more talented artists, more innovative and groundbreaking at the time.
Was he or was he not the king of rock and roll?
Look, the history and the catalog of Elvis and rock and roll is very well documented at this point. You're not revealing anything right now to be saying like, that Elvis guy? turns out there were like other rock artists around at that time, and there were even rock artists before him and stuff. And like, turns out like they were better than him. Instrumental albums / EPs are good and are underappreciated in general. We have talked about this before, and you know, people generally are not musicians, and it's just easier for them to get into and appreciate music that has vocals, because I think vocals are the easiest way for any, you know, average person to connect to a popular song. And instrumental EPs and albums are good, but there's a reason that they don't translate as much in the popular music realm, and it just is what it is. King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard are the most versatile band of all time. They can do whatever genre or sound they like, and it'd still be at least like check Mr. Bungle, check Ween. This is just so narrow. This is so narrow. Nothing will ever top My Bloody Valentine's Loveless. It will always be the best shoegaze album of all time. Not a hot take at all. This is cold as fuck. A lot of your fans, yours only care about guys, if you're going to make the case for someone being underrated, make sure that when you're doing it, you don't choose one of the most beloved, influential, critically acclaimed artists of all time ever. Maybe go with someone a little more obscure to actually make the case for them being underrated. I feel like when people say stuff like this, what are you expecting from here? What else do you want? Do you want like everyone to just be worshiping and bending down and just like, I don't know, throwing their money at whatever artist it is you think is underrated, when the person who you're talking about is like a millionaire who has hit after hit after hit after hit? Like, just because Kate Bush is not as famous as, like, let's say Drake right now does not mean that she's underrated. Another Hawaiian pizza take. You get too many responses. I don't know why I even try to get in on this. Well, I mean, you had your chance. Tyler, the Creator, is clear of Freddie Gibbs.
Damn, Cal, where'd you find this?
Look, you know, Let's Argue, it's a communal thing. It's a community thing. We're doing Let's Argue together. It's not just me. It's not just Austin editing it, too. It's all of us together. You get out of Let's Argue what you put into it. If when I ask you for your takes, you give me doo-doo poo-poo, then you will get back out at you doo-doo poo-poo. And we don't want doo-doo poo-poo. We want content. And so let's make some content. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, your takes are terrible forever.